but there are various reasons as to why I actually believe that is not the case. Let's go back to Dragon Ball Z. When Majin Vegeta is screaming at Goku telling him why he allowed Babidi to convert him into a Majin, he brings up what happened with Sapopovich. Vegeta overheard Mr. Satan talk about how it didn't make any sense that Sapopovich was so powerful in this tournament, considering that he was pretty much a job guy in the last tournament and had virtually no power at all, and Mr. Satan ran through him like a hot knife through butter. And Vegeta was curious about how this was even possible. Then, of course, when Babidi showed up, Vegeta knew that when Babidi converts you into being a Majin, when he takes control of you, he actually does indeed grant you a power boost. You do get a boost of power. Now, during Goku's fight with Yakkun, that was the first time that we saw Goku transform into a Super Saiyan 2. We saw it for just a brief second, and Vegeta was marveled at this. Vegeta was surprised that Goku was able to be so much stronger than he was in the past. Now, this of course led folks to believe that Vegeta at the time could not achieve Super Saiyan 2 without the help of Babidi giving him the boost to close the power gap between he and Goku. And this is why some people believe that the only way to do that is for Vegeta to have become Super Saiyan 2. However, I beg to differ on that somewhat. Even though Madoshi Babidi's upgrade did indeed give Vegeta a boost significantly, there's actually more evidence to prove that Vegeta was a Super Saiyan 2 way before this, and that all Babidi did was make Vegeta stronger to compete with Goku during their fight. But there's absolutely no indication that Babidi's power-up can give you new transformations and new forms, because no matter what, you have to remember, Super Saiyan 2 is not just an upgrade in power, it's a brand new transformation, despite it looking a lot like SS1, just with thinner hair beads and usually a little bit more lightning. Nowhere is it even hinted that Babidi can give you new transformations. Now, there's even more evidence to this earlier in the arc. When Gohan transforms into a Super Saiyan 2 in the tournament in front of Kibito, everybody's in awe of Gohan's power, except for, of course, Vegeta. Vegeta remarks that Gohan may be strong, but he's nowhere near as being as strong as he was when he fought Cell. Now, why would Vegeta say this? Why would Vegeta not be so in awe or so shocked at Gohan? Why would Vegeta, who previously had trouble catching up to Goku and Gohan during the Cell Saga, why would he now just think nothing of Gohan and brush him off? I find it very hard to believe that Vegeta would not even be remotely fazed by Super Saiyan 2 and by Gohan's power if it wasn't already something that he had previously achieved. In fact, even more evidence comes during the fight with Gohan and Dabura. During this fight, Gohan is having trouble with Dabura, and Vegeta and Goku both remark that Gohan has kind of lost his edge. He's kind of not been practicing. He has not been training like he previously did. He's been, to quote Rocky 3, civilized. And in some ways, some people would say Vegeta may be a little bit civilized too, because he did take care of Trunks and Bulma during those 7 years. But the guy still trained his ass off. We all know that. And we all know that Vegeta, no matter which way you slice it, is a fighting prodigy. Even the God of Destruction Beerus said so in Battle of Gods. And Whis himself has taken him under his wing. So that should tell you just how impressive Vegeta is. But back to that fight, Vegeta remarks that Dabura should be no problem for Gohan, but yet Dabura is a problem for Gohan. Vegeta makes it seem like he could take out Dabura with no problem at all. Okay, that's a fair point, but then I'm thinking, wait a minute, there was a scene earlier where Goku and the others scrapped with Dabura for just a very brief time, and Dabura was fighting them off pretty damn well. So what does that tell me? That tells me that Vegeta would have to transform in order to beat Dabura. And I do believe if he did transform, he would beat Dabura rather easily. Do you think that Goku and Vegeta were just underestimating Dabura, or that Dabura was holding back? I don't think so. I think Dabura proved with his underestimation of Majin Buu that he's not a very smart fighter and nowhere near on the level of Goku and Vegeta. So I do think that Goku and Vegeta were on point when they said that Gohan should be able to take out Dabura, but because he didn't train, he's weaker. So what does that tell you? That tells you that Vegeta himself doesn't even sweat Gohan anymore. And that's a huge power leap considering that Gohan was the strongest fighter in the world just 7 years earlier. I find it very hard to believe that Vegeta trained himself so that his Super Saiyan 1 could surpass Gohan's SS2. Even though in Battle of Gods, for a brief second, we do see Vegeta slightly surpass Goku, I just find it very hard to believe that that's the case here. On the other hand, the most logical argument based upon all the evidence that we've gathered here is that Vegeta unlocked Super Saiyan 2 during the 7-year break in between Cell and Buu. We know for a fact that Goku was able to unlock the form in the other world as well as learn how to do SS3, and we saw SS3 premiere just a few more episodes later. But up until that point, Goku and Vegeta both saw Gohan ascend to SS2, but they had never seen SS3 until Goku unlocked it, and Vegeta certainly never saw Super Saiyan 3. So I think that in the Cell Saga, with Vegeta taking 2 trips to Room of Spirit in time and becoming really, really powerful, probably a lot stronger than you could even imagine, because the second time he went back in the Room of Spirit in time, he already had knowledge of all the different grades of Super Saiyan, so he knew what Goku and Gohan's training methods were, and he knew about Trunks' super buff Ultra form, so he already had knowledge going in about how to do it, and as a result of that, he didn't quite achieve Super Saiyan 2 until after the Cell games were over, but he did achieve it during the 7-year time skip because Goku did it too. And I would actually go so far as to say he achieved it early in the 7-year time skip. And I think Vegeta pretty much realized that he was training his ass off, Gohan wasn't. Vegeta clearly surpassed Goku, and unfortunately we never saw or learned exactly how Goku was able to figure out how to do Super Saiyan 3, but I do think Vegeta seeing Gohan doing it and training his ass off absolutely put him at that level. And I also believe that even though Babidi did make Vegeta exceedingly stronger than he was before, Babidi did not in any way influence Vegeta learning a new transformation. Vegeta already knew how to be an SS2. Babidi just made him a stronger Super Saiyan 2 because Vegeta obviously saw Goku turn SS2 against Yaka and said, oh shit, I can do the form too, but he might actually still be stronger than me. And of course, this is Vegeta not even knowing about Super Saiyan 3. And then again, when you examine the history of the manga, Toriyama himself probably had no idea about Super Saiyan 3 while he was writing these parts of the manga, but that's a video for another day. So there is my argument, there are my points. I am pretty certain, I would say 100% actually, that Vegeta was able to achieve Super Saiyan 2 way before the Buu saga even started. I think he knew how to do it, he had knowledge of it, he just wanted the boost to compete with Goku. Those are all my points. That is my evidence. Thank you so much for watching the video. I hope that you had fun watching this and you were enlightened, and I hope that Vegeta fans out there now realize and remember how much of a genius the guy is, and don't just think that he was piggybacking off of, the Warlock's abilities. That's not what happened here. The dude knew what he was doing. So thank you again for watching. Make sure you punch that subscribe button if you haven't. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and comment down below your thoughts on this video. I hope you have a great day, and I'll talk to you guys later on. So before we start this discussion, I just want to say that this discussion, I don't want to hear about canon, non-canon. That's not what this is about here. If you look at the original story of the anime of Dragon Ball, it's Dragon Ball, then Z, then GT. Now, obviously, Toriyama had very, very limited involvement in GT. He has a lot more, significantly more involvement in Dragon Ball Super. This is just going to be a video where me and Real to Real are going to be goofing off, coming up with wacky ideas for how they could actually do an arc where they fit. They managed managed to fit GT and Super into one continuity. Because let me explain this to you guys. There's absolutely no possible way that GT and Super can exist in the same universe. It just can't happen. Goku and GT do not use any god forms whatsoever. Like, no. The Supreme Kais are still fused. You know, there's no Beerus or Whis or even a mention of them whatsoever in GT. So it's just not possible for GT. See, some people have said GT's been written out completely, and I do agree that it has. Some other people will say, well, it was never in to begin with, and I kind of see that point as well. But we're not going to have canon debates here. We're going to have a fun discussion about how we can actually make both of these series, I don't want to say canon, but make them both fit to where it makes sense. So please welcome Real to Real. Hello.
What's up, Geeks? I'm always good to see you. Thanks for having me back.
Yes, always. So this theory came about when we were preparing to do that Broly video that we did about female Broly, and we were just being wacky and just coming up with these ridiculous ideas. Because at this point, ladies and gentlemen, Dragon Ball Super is so unpredictable that anything can happen, dude. We got a freaking girl that looks like Broly, dude. Like, give me a fucking... We got a clown god of destruction. Like, give me a break. You know, are you putting me on, you know, to bring back an 80s phrase? Anything can happen. And I was just thinking to myself, like, okay, GT has been written out, but if they want to, you know, a lot of fans want. A lot of them want to see Super Saiyan 4 in Super. It's not possible for it to make any sense unless we do some really out-of-the-box thinking to make it fit. And my idea, and if you have one, we'll talk about it as well, is this. Here's my idea. We fast forward to the end of Z, we skip the end of Z, and basically we find out, this is going to be very out-of-the-box, very wacky, and I know some of you are going to say cringe, and some of you are going to say brilliant, but it actually can work if you read a lot of comics. If you read a lot of X-Men and watch a lot of anime, this isn't that crazy. My idea is that Dragon Ball GT was just a dream that Pan had. The entire series is just a dream. And the reason why I say that's because if you look at GT, the whole story from beginning to end can actually be seen from the perspective of Pan because she's always there. Like, Pan is always there with Goku fighting the evil dragons. And then you wonder, why is she always there? And I'm not trying to do like a Berenstein Bears, you know, Will Smith, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You know those wacky TV theories about how Homer Simpson died like in season 6 and the whole thing's a dream. That's not what I'm doing here, but it's similar to it. Okay, so since Pan is always the forefront, she's pretty much the main character, right? Goku, it's Goku and Pan show, and she's there all the way until the end. When the last thing we see is Goku going on the dragon, which again has no actual explanation. It's up for interpretation. Then, of course, we fast forward 100 years. We see Goku Jr., Vegeta Jr. fighting in a tournament. That's how GT ends. I think it makes sense if they retcon it, and this is a huge retcon, and say GT's just a dream, and they create a villain for Dragon Ball Super, a wizard or somebody like that, who can open up a portal to the dream world and bring GT into Super. He kidnaps Pan somehow, and he uses some magic to investigate her dreams and finds out that, or not finds out, brings GT into Super. So then we can actually see Super Saiyan 4, we can see Omega Shenron, we can see all these characters in Super existing there. What do you think about that? It's very out of the box. It's very un-Dragon Ball, but actually in some ways it's really not. It's very anime-ish, I think.
No, I absolutely love the idea, as wacky and crazy as it is. You know me, I love wacky, crazy ideas. I try to make them make sense. So let me delve into this a little bit. One reason I really like this idea, and one reason I think it could really work, especially if this is kind of a later down the arc, like way later down the line arc for Dragon Ball Super, because we don't know how long the show's going to go on. It could theoretically go on just as long as Dragon Ball Z if it continues being as successful as it is, and they're going to inevitably have to do some time jumps and make people older. It would be interesting to me because there's a lot of parallels between what's happened in the early parts of Super and what happened throughout the course of GT.
Yeah.
So like, just take this as you will. I don't know the idea of the villain or where that would come from. We could talk about that next. But personally, so Pan was born around the time that Frieza came back.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so obviously she doesn't have much of a coherent thought process, and also Saiyans don't grow as fast as regular human beings. And one of the things we've been seeing throughout like these slice of life episodes is that they're actually putting multiple years on. So like Pan should be like what, at least 2 at this point.
1.5 or 2, yeah.
So it's like, so this is about the time that people start collectively having memories of certain things, and it would be interesting because Pan was there at least hearing stories about it and seeing the remnants or hearing like these tales of Zamasu, and that's around the time that she would have some kind of memory.
Yeah, you're telling me that maybe in the future, like, Gohan will tell her, like, again, a fairy tale like your channel, and tell her, like, oh, one time we fought, well, Gohan didn't fight him, but Grandpa Goku can be like, yeah, one time we fought this guy. I mean, that could definitely be the case, but the thing is that it makes more sense for him not to tell her that because they're not in GT.
No, I know. Give me a. The thing is like.
But here's the thing, though. Let me just say this, though. The idea of Goku of Cell and Frieza being in GT makes perfect sense because her father's Gohan. Gohan fought Cell and Frieza. Gohan tells her as a baby about Cell and Frieza. She had dreams about it.
The thing is, yeah, like, so I'm getting there in terms of like. Pan is really young, but she's been around and she's been experiencing this. And then, like, you go past the ending of Z, you have Gohan and Goku and anyone else telling her all these stories of the past, and she doesn't have like a legitimate idea of what people look like. Besides maybe Frieza.
Is that why Goku has a tan?
Okay,
no, I'm kidding.
She doesn't have any concept of anyone who really looks like, besides maybe Frieza and Cell, because we already know that they're probably going to take her to the tournament where she's going to see Frost and get some kind of a concept of what Frieza looks like, and then maybe there's a Cell look-alike or something there. And explain why Cell looks so crazy in GT. But like, all these parallels are because people have told her stories, but she doesn't know what anyone looks like or the connections between anything. So we have like. So that's why Baby is basically like Zamasu and the Patafu arc and all this other stuff. It seems so meshed together in its own little craziness, and then like that's what she's meshing all the stories she's having in these weird, crazy dreams of like ridiculous consciousness. And that's just my craziest theory of all that is she's heard these stories, she remembers them from her childhood, being brought to all these tournaments and seeing all these like antagonists and some force. And now she's just putting it together in these weird conscious memory dreams, and that's what GT is from.
Now, if you're wondering kind of where this idea kind of came from, maybe it's off in my head, but I think it was a subconscious thing. If you like Toriyama, and if you like video games, Dragon Quest VI, alright, it's an RPG. If you're out there, you gotta play this game, dude. All Dragon Quest games are classics, but in Dragon Quest VI, there are warps in between the dream world and the real world. And I'm not gonna spoil, like, because there's a big twist. This is like some Saw shit. You like it. There's a lot of interesting twists in this game, but pretty much they establish in that game that there's a dream world and a real world, and that, you know, obviously in your dream world you can do things you can't do in the real world, and so on and so forth. So maybe the idea, you know, is that. And then of course the villain where he could come from Super could be just somebody, one of the wizards from one of the other universes could at some point get salty. Who knows? We could just make it up. Toriyama made it up. And he kidnaps Pan, and like I said, he accesses her brain, opens up a portal, and brings GT into Super. And we actually have Goku Blue versus Goku 4 in a sparring match. Can you, and I know it sounds super fan servicey, can you imagine the explosion from the fandom when that trailer drops? It's never gonna happen, but I'm saying if it does happen, can you imagine? Ugh, I don't even. Dude, people will lose their freaking. Now we're going down Dragon Ball Heroes Xenoverse route right now. You know what I mean? I mean, is there any other way to make it fit, like within storyline? Unless you erase the entire existence of Super, I don't see how else you can.
We've talked about that before. I mean, you've talked about that before with me and all this.
So Rama shows up. He stops the two Omni Kings from fighting. He reverses time. So Beerus never wakes up. A Super never happened. Exactly. I like my idea more though, because this idea keeps Super in continuity. I'm not gonna use the other C word. And it also adds GT saying, okay, well, GT did happen in Pan's brain. Dude, we've seen this before in X-Men with Franklin Richards and Professor X. This is nothing new.
But
I just think it's new for Dragon Ball.
the one thing, like, you know, you talked about, like, how can they make this possible? We haven't, Super has not, you know, they don't have any bad feelings or anything of, like, kind of stealing their other ideas that aren't officially canon. I mean, like, quote unquote canon. And I was asking you before, and forgive me, I forgot, but, like, we did see someone taking, like, bad memories or something from people's consciousness before in Dragon Ball in the extended universe. With the plan to eradicate the Saiyans. So I mean, they could introduce something like that to pull out like legitimately like Super Saiyan 4, Super Saiyan like Goku, Vegeta, Baby, Super 17, all these other people.
I'm gonna send this video to Masako X. I think he's gonna like it a lot. I think he'll love this video, like, cause this is totally up his alley. Cause Masako X loves talking about the possibilities of Super. Let me know in the comments. Do you think I'm completely out of my mind? Probably so. But do you like the idea? Do you have any other ways of making GT fit? I mean, please don't fight over GT sucks. That's not what this is about. This is more so about how we can make everything kind of fit. And I think the idea of GT being a dream, bro, like, I like it, bro. I don't know. I think it would really, and then of course the ending could also end up being that, you know, Goku does fight SS4 Goku, and then of course he has to return to Pan's team, so he doesn't die or anything. He just returns to the dream world. So it's like a dream world version of Goku. I think it's brilliant. Okay, I'm not gonna pat myself on the back, but I think it's a brilliant idea, bro. Seriously.
That'd be great. So like, that'd be great. Just kind of. Okay, so Goku fights Goku SSJ4, and he beats SSJ4, reverts, he's an adult, and he has to go back into Pan's dream, and that's the Goku that Pan's chasing after at the end of GT.
Oh, man. I'll give you a big kiss right now, bro. You just shut the whole conversation down, bro. That's the end. That's how the arc ends, bro. Dun, 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 dun. Especially if they end it with that song and the bro, seriously, I'll lose my mind. That would be amazing. All right, you're not allowed to say this idea sucks anymore because this is a good idea now. Anyways, everybody check out Reel to Reel Productions. Mark is the CEO. More wacky theories, and I hope you're enjoying these videos, having some chill. Again, not a lot of editing on these, just chill discussions, podcast style about Dragon Ball. I hope you like them. We have a good time here on Geekdom 101, and Mark has a good time over on his channel too, so check that out, and we'll talk to you later. It seems like the Dragon Ball community is always, or at least a big part of it, always obsessing over who is stronger and who is the strongest in Dragon Ball. Well, today I want to talk about Dragon Ball GT specifically versus Dragon Ball Super, and of course the 10-year time skip that Dragon Ball Super supposedly takes place in. So we're going to talk about characters being stronger and really what everything boils down to. But joining me on this video, of course, the man who really needs no introduction, the undisputed king of power scaling, and a guy who is the president of his own nation, his own Dragon Ball nation. I'm talking about Josh.
Hey guys, what's up? And I don't know about the king of power scaling, but I definitely think that I'm definitely well versed and knowledgeable about the topic. But this is definitely gonna be a fun video we have here.
Definitely, and you've always been, you know, fearless of giving your opinion. But one thing I will say about you is that when we first started talking, we were talking about this very topic here about what characters are more powerful. And before we go any further, okay, I'm going to just say this. Yes, folks, Josh and I are very aware that GT is not part of Toriyama's manga or part of the continuity of the anime, you know, the quote-unquote canon. You don't have to comment about this. I'm telling you right now, we're aware. We're talking about in a hypothetical multiverse. If the Dragon Ball timeline branches out and Super goes one way and GT goes one way, you know, if we were to actually have them compete, we're talking about who's stronger. So as I was saying, when you and I first started talking, I was thinking about this, and I had always thought, that the SS God SS, which had just come out right before, was just the strongest form. But then I started thinking more and more, and you made a case about just how strong GT characters are. And one thing that we'll agree on that everybody listening has to kind of accept is that, and it's not really a good thing, but it's a fact. GT characters are ridiculously overpowered, almost to the point where it's like bad storytelling.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, even though, which I think we'll get into later, the feats of GT honestly are not impressive at all. There's really unimpressive feats in GT, like Omega Shenron blows up a city, and Goku's insanely impressed by this. This is Super Saiyan 4 Goku is insanely impressed by this feat, which is something that Nappa did in the beginning of Z.
Yeah, his first appearance on Earth, he did it. Yeah, and that's weird to me because, like you said, the GT, the thing about GT is that it's not as bad as everybody says most of the time, but it definitely does have its inconsistencies. And like you said, it's a real problem with power scaling, with figuring this out. You've pretty much done a pretty good job of figuring it out. Now, the GT Perfect Files, I believe, state that Goku, you might have to correct me on this one because I don't remember exactly. Goku as a kid is as strong as Majin Buu?
Well, I don't know if that's actually in any of the perfect files or not, but based off of his fight with General Rildo, the normal form of Rildo, before they even actually attacked Rildo, before Pan even charged Rildo, Goku stated that this is a being even more powerful than Majin Buu. Now, it's not clear of which Majin Buu. It could be Fat Buu, it could be Buhan, but I imagine that he's talking about Kid Buu. That's
Me
just
too.
what I would imagine. So Goku fights Rildo, this character, this being that's stronger than Majin Buu, and he's fighting him in his base form without even transforming, and he's actually winning. A lot of people say he needed to go Super Saiyan, but he did that to kind of, show Rildo he had more power because he knew Rildo was holding back a little bit more as well. So Goku's base is equal to or higher than what a Super Saiyan 3 form was in Z, well, in the Buu saga at least. That's what most fans agree. It may even be higher because later on we do see that Goku actually pretty much busts out of a dimension
Yeah, he does
with
what
his ki.
Gotenks and Buhan did.
Right, and arguable of which one's stronger, Gotenks or Goku. A lot of people argue. I think Gotenks is definitely much more powerful, but that's pretty much the whole backstory on why Goku's base form is been suggested to be at least as strong as the Super Saiyan 3 was from Z, and then you put on the multipliers, which makes him insanely powerful.
Well, and also in a roundabout way, Resurrection F, in a way, and Battle of Gods kind of cement this a little tiny bit, not based on the new forms, but based on the fact that in these two films now, especially in Resurrection F, Goku's base is significantly more powerful to the point where he can compete head to head with Frieza in his final form and actually win most of the fight. I've theorized in the past, and of course, a lot of this is theory, that Goku's base in Resurrection F is equal to that, if not slightly higher than Kid Buu. But with GT, it just seems like it's even higher than that.
Absolutely, and the thing is, we really have